Hi there, out there in YouTube land. It's Jonathan and the piano lesson. And today I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which you've heard me talk about various tetrachords. But why would you want to know what a tetrachord is? These groups of four notes, because they are the key to unlock music. They really are. No one's talking about this stuff. And if you're bored by it, just go away. But you won't be bored by it, I promise you. And I will show you, practically speaking, how to apply it today. I will play a little music for you, and we'll kind of review the three basic types of tetrachords. And when you're learning something, you want to learn in a way that makes it easy and manageable. And when you first learn music, it can be really overwhelming. And when you get into learning music and become, quote unquote, more competent, we tend to get in the weeds too much, and we look at things in very minute amounts. So typically we're examining music in a way that's too many notes or too few notes, okay? Too big or too small, a whole scale or like each interval, right? That's really not the way to do it. So, and there's some basic concepts of learning, and you can take this lens, okay, take this method and use it as a touchstone for making music part of you. So let's kind of jump into this real quick, okay? So our tetrachord group, A, B, C, D. Okay, four notes, right? Tetra, T-E-T-R-A, means four. Chord, our group of notes. Okay, that's our group of notes up there. Okay, and this is Greek, by the way, for you language aficionados. And the distance from A to D on the piano, right? That is a perfect fourth. It's a perfect fourth. Perfect, P-E-R-F-E-C-T, a perfect fourth. All right. Now, that is typically what we associate a tetrachord with. The lowest note and the highest note is B-O-U-N-D, bound by the perfect fourth. Right. You could have A up to D flat, right, and that would no longer be a perfect fourth. That would be called a diminished fourth, right? A to D flat. I'm sorry. Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, A to D flat. Looks like a C sharp. It's not. Okay. And let me just come up for air for a second. Right. On the piano, we have this concept where one key has two names. It's referred to as anharmonic. As pianists, we really don't often care about it. We ignore it and slough it off. It's a really big deal. It's C sharp and D flat are not the same note. They're not notated the same way. If you think that's the case, you are doomed to failure when you learn music. Okay, and everything's going to be confusing for you. Reading music is going to be confusing. Understanding chords and scales, it's going to be a mess. Okay, so this is going to straighten you out so you won't have those problems. I wish someone told me this a million years ago. Okay, now we're going back, diving back down here. Here we go. All right, back down, and if I went and rather than, I'm using the eraser upside down. If I went A to D sharp. Okay, now that's called AUG augmented, an augmented fourth, okay? And why is that called an augmented fourth? Okay, there is a grammar to music. So the most basic interval is the perfect fourth, perfect intervals. There's perfect intervals. And there's major intervals. Those are the diatonic intervals. If you take a perfect interval and you lower it a half step, it becomes diminished. If you raise it a half step, it becomes augmented. That's not true with other intervals. For instance, a major interval like A to C sharp. I told you that has an enharmonic spelling. A to C sharp. If you lower that to A to C, that's a minor third. Okay, let's identify these again. Here we go. A, B, C sharp, D. Right? That is now a major, M-A-J, a major tetrachord. All right? and your half step is right there. The rest of them are whole steps. So your half step is between 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you change the half step, well, then you change the tetrachord. If it's C natural now, and your half step is right there, then now you have a minor tetrachord, right? If you change the half step again, and you now put your half step here to B flat, well, that is a Phrygian. It's a Phrygian tetrachord. And if you retain the B flat and change this to C sharp, now you get something called a harmonic, 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 or sometimes people call it Egyptian, right? But we have these two as the constant, the perfect fourth, and these inner notes as the variable, major, minor, Phrygian, and Egyptian, all right? And and all of these again are bound. They're all bound by the perfect fourth. All right. That is the constant. Now, we're going to change this. So we're going to now make this into a diminished fourth. A diminished fourth. We're going to make that into a D flat. Okay, and we're going to spell it A, B, C, D flat. That little packet of information, okay, that is a diminished tetrachord. It's a diminished tetrachord. Looks like that was C sharp, but it's not, all right? And then if we get rid of the flat, okay, we'll get rid of the flat there, and we will make this into D sharp, all right? And I'm gonna do this. A, B, C sharp, D. I'm gonna make those all into whole steps. Whole step, and a whole step, okay? That is called a Lydian. That is a Lydian tetrachord. Sometimes we say it's the sharp 4. And if you're making an A major scale, A, B, C sharp, D, if you raise the fourth note, that becomes Lydian, all right? The Lydian mode. So that's the fourth mode in the series of diatonic modes. An example would be C, D, E, and then F. Not, that's major. This is, and it has this wonderful ethereal sound. And it's also useful in understanding whole tone scales. So now I'm going to take a little bit of an exit ramp and talk about how you might apply the Lydian, or the augmented fourth tetrachord. Now watch this. This is very cool. Typically, when we make scales with tetrachords, we use disjunct, disjunct versus conjunct tetrachords. So A major, A, B, C sharp, D, A, B, C sharp, D. All right, that's a perfect fourth. E, F sharp, G sharp, A. That's also a perfect fourth, right? And those are disjunct because they do not share notes. They are separate. Okay, they are disjunct. They are not. Dis means not. They do not share notes. That's a very typical scale. 2 major tetrachords. Those are 2 major tetrachords. Now, here's something a little different. Here we're going to make a conjunct tetrachord, all right? I'm going to make a conjunct tetrachord. And A, B, C sharp, D sharp, right? Now the spelling might get a little strange. I'm going to change the D sharp to an E flat because it's a little bit easier to spell. E flat, F, G, A. So you have, here's your tetrachord here, and here's your tetrachord here, and you have the, oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's one note, 5, 6, and then you're back to the A again, right? The A, that's your octave. There's the octave right there. That is a whole, W-H-O-L-E, a whole tone scale, all right? And we have, and this note here is the infamous tritone. Tri meaning 3. 3 what? 3 H-O-L-E, S-T-E-P-S. I'm spelling it not because I think you don't know how to spell. I'm spelling because my handwriting's so bad. Whole steps, A to B, B to C sharp to D sharp. That's our whole step, or E flat to F, F to G, G to A, right? And you know, there's this really wonderful little rule in jazz that if you have a chord, like a dominant 7th chord most commonly, so say like A7, you can substitute that chord with another dominant 7th chord, a tritone away. That wasn't your computer glitch, that was me. All right, so for instance, you can A7, I'm using the example A7, A7, let's say, versus E flat 7. That would be the tritone substitution, right? And so A7 typically would function as a 5-7 in the key of, anyone know out there? D, key of D. This is 5 of D, key of D. So 1 4 1 5 1, or you could do 1 4 1. Then your substitution 5 1 or 5 1. Isn't that cool sound? Functions in a very similar manner, doesn't it? That E flat, that tritone substitution. All right. So we said that this augmented tetrachord, the augmented, have a demented tetrachord, augmented tetrachord, right? That it can make, if you have 2 of these, all right, if you have 2 of them, let's say, that share a note in there, okay, that would be your conjunct scale. That's our whole tone. That's our whole tone scale. So you have basically 4 notes here and 4 notes there, but one of those notes, it's really 3 plus 1, because that one note is shared. So, or you can have, you can use, like we said earlier, let's say you can make a Lydian scale. So let's just say F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And here is your augmented tetrachord, and here is your major tetrachord. Now, isn't it easier to learn groups of 4 notes than to learn 8 notes? Okay, it's much easier, and they're modular, so you mix them up and move them around and examine as you practice, okay? And you can learn, let's just say you learn a group of 4 notes in all 12 keys, easy to transpose, right? Here's major, augmented. Just raise that top note. Major, augmented. G major, augmented. Major, augmented. Major, augmented. Right? It's very easy. Major, B flat, C, D, E flat, B flat, C, D, E. Right? So you have your Lydian sound, or your whole tone. And I'll just talk a little bit about notation, because I mentioned that before. You know, spelling and grammar and notation and making it simple and understandable to notate music. Here's your treble staff. So let's just say, you know, A, B, C, D, okay? That's how every tetrachord, every A tetrachord is notated, whether it's based on a perfect fourth, or a diminished fourth, or an augmented fourth. It's still some kind of an A, B, C, and D. So let's just say it's A, B, C sharp, D sharp, okay? That's the augmented tetrachord, but the position on the staff doesn't change. Line, space, line, space. They're still all basically what? Steps. They're all basically steps. Or if I wanted the perfect fourth, right? That's now a major tetrachord, as opposed to the one I just wrote, the augmented one. Well, okay, again, it's the same first bass below the staff. Or if I made that into D flat and we sounded like that, again, the position on the staff does not change. Now, let's boy, we're just packing stuff in today. We're just packing stuff in. Okay, but let me show you something, how to use the diminished tetrachords to make scales. This is very interesting. Now, if you have two diminished tetrachords, disjunct tetrachords, so they're not sharing notes, and they are a whole step apart, not a half step, a whole step apart. So let's just take the scale. Let's go B. What we're going to do here? Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm going to tell you one other thing before I do that. One other thing before I do that. Right. We're gonna look at the other scale that I neglected. There's the Lydian. Okay, F G A B C D E F. That's the Lydian, right? All right. Or if you start on the B, B C D E F G A F. Yeah, this one. This one right here. So you have the lower one, B, C, D, E. All right, that's a perfect fourth. You need to know those intervals. You will not learn music if you don't. B, C, D, E. Okay, and then F, G, A, B. That's your augmented fourth. Right. That is your Locrian. That's a Locrian mode, a Locrian scale. Now, maybe you've never heard some of these. You're like, why do you want to learn what the heck is that? Why would you use it? Well, every scale has a chord that goes with that scale, directly organically from the scale. So these are the notes of the C major scale, but starting on B. If I skip notes in the scale, if I skip notes, I can get a chord. All right. So listen, B, D, F, A. B, D, F, A. What is that? That's B minor 7 flat 5. B, D, F, A. Right. That is the scale you would use when you see a minor 7 flat 5 chord. That's the scale that you would use. Now there's one other scale which is really interesting, and that's what is infamously called the half-whole scale. All right, there's whole half scales and there's half-whole scales, but there is a diminished scale. All right, two kinds of diminished scales. Diminished scale alternates whole steps and half steps, but I don't really like thinking of it that way. I prefer to think of it in terms of two disjunct diminished tetrachords. So we'll go B, C, D, E, F. I don't want to do that. Let me see it. Yeah. So here's the first tetrachord. B, C, D, E flat. All right. Looks like a D sharp, but it's not. Right. That's the first diminished fourth. All right. That's the diminished tetrachord. And then if I go up a whole step, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. E sharp, enharmonic spelling, also known as F. E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. Right? And that is also a diminished fourth. Right? And together you have this. And if you play your chord notes, all right? If you play your chord notes, the E sharp and the F are the same key on the piano. So there's a whole step right there separating the two. Now, here's something even more interesting. There is a conjunct aspect to the half-whole diminished scale, right? Which initially makes it confusing, but actually, if you think about it, it'll make it really easy to understand. So watch carefully. This is very interesting. Here's our first tetrachord, all right? B, C, D, E flat. And then if you go back down half step, D, E flat, F, G flat, D, E flat, F, G flat. That's another diminished tetrachord. And then if you go down a half step, F, G flat, A flat, F, G flat, A flat, B double flat, which is also A. So we could call this E sharp, F, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. That's probably a preferable spelling. And then we go back down a half step. G sharp, A, B, C. G sharp, A, B, C. Sorry, did I do that right? Yeah, right. But the actual scale itself is contained there. Okay, this is kind of like we cut that out. So it sounds like this. Watch: B, D, F, A. There's your chord tones. All right. Watch: B, D, F, and then what do we do here? Yeah, and then over here, right? There's your 1, 2, 3, 4. B, D, B, D, F, which is E sharp, and then I didn't write it down correctly, G sharp. I was going so fast, I misspelled something. But you get your money back. I shouldn't misspell anything. No, but so those 4, 1, 2, 3, what a mess. 3, and then you have the fourth one here, right? But they share notes, okay? They share notes. Sharing notes. So you have these little chunks of information. And if you have your minor 7 flat 5 chord, that's the other sound. Diminished fourth, diminished fourth, diminished fourth, diminished fourth. This, if I go up to C, that's a perfect fourth. Perfect fourth. Diminished. Perfect. Diminished. Perfect. Diminished. Perfect. Diminished. See that? It's very easy to grab those bits of information. It makes them manageable. You can chunks of notes that you can grab at while you're improvising. That just for fun, I'll let you guys know that scale that I just did. That's the half whole diminished scale. If we just started on the second note of the scale and made a mode out of it, well, that would be the whole half scale, and you would conceive of that as, let's say, C, D, E flat, G, and then C, D, E flat, F, and then F sharp, G sharp, A, B. Those are perfect fourths. That's this. That's the, and that works over a diminished. Or minor, 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 minor. See, there's a conjunct aspect to the disjunct scale. They do kind of dovetail together. And the other way to think of it is you think of it as two diminished chords that are dovetailed together. So the diminished chord, the B diminished chord, B, D, F, A flat, okay? And then this, C, D, E flat, which is also D sharp, G flat, which is also F sharp, and A, which is also B double flat, right? But you have these notes in between, so it's B, C, D, E flat, which is, right, F, G flat, A flat, A, and then you're back to the B again. There's your octave. So that's two. That's this chord, this diminished chord, and this diminished chord together. All right, and that's the exact same notes, just conceived differently. So when you're practicing, again, taking a simple idea, trying to look at it in a bunch of different ways, but the tools we use are these groups of four notes typically. Or, we used four-note chords, didn't we? We used skips. We examined them in terms of skips rather than steps, but four-note groups. Okay, got to run, getting late. Please email me. I'm sorry if this is a lot of information to digest. Well, I'm not sorry if it's a lot of information to digest. Just go at it more slowly. Anyway, take care, guys, and please let me know if you have any questions or if you need some personal coaching, and I will be around. Okay, this is Jonathan signing off, and arrivederci. Bye-bye.